I got to be honest, man. Breaking stories like this is is my favorite thing to do because it's not coming from an official source. It's not on Twitter. It's not on MMA fighting. It's not in an interview. It is me well, it isn't an interview, but I pulled this. I did it myself. I watched something and no one else caught it. And I was like, oh my God. Well, I mean, I'm sure other people caught it. Just no one with a YouTube channel caught it yet. And so I'm going to put this up because I know what Nate Diaz is going to do. I know what Nate Diaz is planning to do now, at least. And I know exactly what he's thinking because we just found out in an interview with Michael Chandler. We know what Nate Diaz is planning. And he's planning not to go fight Jake Paul, not to fight Logan Paul, or maybe he thinks he can do those also, but we know he is planning to come back to UFC and fight Conor McGregor in the third fight. And we know that for sure now because it just got revealed, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. Now, also, there is going to be a conversation in this video about Nate's situation and how he was inevitably going to have to come back to the UFC because of the deal that the UFC did. I talked about this in another video, but I'll talk about it again. The deal that Dana did, huge deal, which almost certainly jammed up Nate Diaz's ability to do a boxing match with the Pauls. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, we're going to go ahead and watch the interview that we're talking about. I'm going to show you how we know that Nate Diaz is planning to come back to the UFC and he's planning to fight Conor in his third fight. And if you don't agree, put it in the comments. If you do agree, put it in the comments. Either way, if you don't mind, just like the video and, share it with your friends. If you're interested in Conor, Nate, Michael Chandler, UFC in general, that would be the most helpful thing. Subscribe to the channel also if you haven't yet, and we'll go from there. But yeah, like it. Just really, please like it. I'm just kidding. But it is helpful if you like it. That would be amazing. So anyway, we're going to watch this video now, okay? It's only a minute long, and we're going to watch the interview. It's actually like 40 seconds. And then we're going to stop, and then you're going to honestly answer whether you caught it or not. And if you didn't, we're going to show it again, and then you'll probably catch it. And then I'm going to show it in slow motion, just in case. So let's watch it the first time. Boom.
Sorry, I seen you chopping it up with Nate Diaz. Was he giving you tips on how to beat Conor or what?
Well, maybe.
He's beaten him before,
yeah, maybe.
What were you guys saying?
He said, don't you go winning because we're going to do something. So we'll see. Yes, I'll see you Monday.
No.
We'll see what happens.
What's up? Is the beef between you and Conor real? Like, are you starting not to like the guy or what? Because at first it was
we're
cool.
About half and half. Yeah,
Now, did you catch it? If you didn't, let's go ahead and watch the relevant part again, which is one sentence. Ready? Boom.
He said, don't you go winning because we're going to do something. So
now, how about one more time in slow motion just to make sure that you can hear it? Because I actually had to do this myself to make sure I was hearing this correctly. Ready? Boom.
He said, don't you go winning because we're going to do something. So
man, nice catch, Jesse on Fire. Thank you, guys. Thank you. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my God. I know what Nate Diaz is thinking. I might be the only person in America who knows what he's thinking. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that is what Nate Diaz is planning to do. He's planning to come back. He wants to fight Conor McGregor for the third time. And we know that because what on earth else would he be talking about to Michael Chandler when he says, you better not beat him because we got something that we got to do? What on earth would be inhibited that they're planning to do by a Michael Chandler victory over Conor McGregor? Of course, he's talking about his third fight. Of course. So Nate Diaz absolutely is planning to come back to UFC and do the third fight with Conor McGregor. Now, I will say this. If Michael Chandler starched Conor McGregor in the first 10 seconds, the Nate Diaz and Conor fight still sells 1.5 million pay-per-views. It's irrelevant. That fight is a banger no matter what. Sell out. It's irrelevant. That'll be a huge fight. But let's talk about the other thing, right? So it's really exciting, first of all. That's really exciting. That is extraordinarily exciting. I am ecstatic to hear that because I really want to see that fight. The second Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz fight is, in my opinion, the greatest fight in UFC history. And, it wasn't for a belt, and I understand that and there have been some incredible fights, but when you actually consider how massive a star Conor was and what was on the line for him at that point as the beginning, he had to win, dude. He had to win. To have all the things that he has now, he had to win that fight. And coming off of the loss he had, and he's up 2 weight classes, incredible. And Nate Diaz, obviously, incredible performance in both of those fights. So, but here's the thing. So this is what I wanted to talk about, though, in addition to the fact that we now know Nate is planning to come back to fight Conor, is I talked about this in my Francis video about the strategy that Dana and them are playing behind the scenes to try to make sure that Nate and Francis are not able to secure a huge bag payday doing any kind of combat sports outside of the UFC because it creates immense problems for them if they do. But the Prime deal, right? Prime, Logan Paul and KSI's drink company is now the official drink company of the UFC. And if you are going to tell me that as part of that deal, that they did not agree to not do a big payday boxing match with either of the Diaz brothers or with Francis, I'm not buying it. I absolutely guarantee you that, written or unwritten, they are not going to do a fight with Nate Diaz or Francis with the Logan Paul or the Paul crew or KSI or any of them as a result of doing that deal. That was Dana's leverage. I would love to help you guys out. I would love to be in business with you guys. I would love to do this deal. However, if we do this deal, no fights with Nate Diaz, no fight with Francis, no fights with any big, marquee UFC fighters that we lose to free agency. If it's someone that we cut, that's one thing. Take them, do whatever you want with them. But marquee guys that go into free agency, I'm not competing with you guys. I'm not going to have these guys go make some huge payday and then I have to deal with that going forward in the UFC. You guys are benefiting from the UFC's brand now. You want to be the official drink of the UFC. You're paying us a lot of money, but our brand value is now directly tied to your brand value, which means I'm not doing business with someone who's going to undermine our brand value by paying our former fighters in a big way that's going to lead to enormous free agency problems for us. So do we have a deal there? Yes. Cool. Handshake and bye-bye big payday Nate Diaz. Bye-bye big payday for Francis, if it's anywhere related to the Paul brothers. So, yeah. And so now Nate Diaz is planning to come back. Now, it's possible Nate was always planning to come back. But now we know that he is. And he wants Conor McGregor to beat Michael Chandler because he wants to do the third fight. And now we know that. And I am happy to be the one to break it for you guys. I love you guys. Thank you very much for the ongoing support. Peace.